Hi, I'm Nawal, and welcome to this week's episode of Mamas and Papas. On this week's show, we ask if you are a paranoid parent or simply protective of your children. We then honor the moms and dads of special needs children. After that, we look who's talking and find out if those cawing sounds your baby makes means anything. We finally make some fun in the kitchen with those little children preparing their meals for dads. If you are unable to leave your child under someone else's supervision or constantly worrying that your child is in danger, are you simply being protective or have you crossed the line? We investigate the line between healthy protection and plain old paranoia.
Children that are overprotected don't really have confidence, because confidence comes to children that are independent, that want to explore, that take responsibility, that take challenges. Overprotected children aren't really allowed to take challenges. Mothers are too scared something might happen to their kid, feel too responsible for their kid, and don't allow the kid to handle problems that they should be handling. And as a result, the child never really has to make a decision where they handle the consequence, because mom's always doing it for them.
Children that are overprotective definitely lose self-confidence because they feel like they can never do anything on their own. And often you see parents running after their children when they're learning to walk and, with a cushion so that they don't fall on their bums. It's absolutely fine for children to do that. They're going to get up and walk. We all survived. And, I think if we all survived, it's a very good chance that your child's going to survive as well.
Anxious mothers have a real problem, because children pick up that anxiety and are not sure why. They pick up the tension in their mom's body, they might pick up tension in their voice. It's shown in their face. I've seen mothers, you just look at them and there's just stress all over the show. Children somehow have a sixth sense for that anxiety. And the moment it ends up in the voice of either a bit of shrieking, a little bit of shouting, "I've had enough of you," well, you're going to have problems.
Some parents will be phoning you 50 times a day and phoning you about every little thing or coming in every 5 minutes because of, a perceived illness. And I think a lot of the time that really gives us the indication that this parent is being completely obsessive about this child. If their tummy hasn't worked or if they haven't eaten a meal, you get phoned. And I always tell parents that children won't become malnourished in a home where there is food. So they needn't worry if a child just misses one meal. But it's very bad for the child to be so overcoddled, worrying about the fact that they're not eating or their tummy hasn't worked.
It depends what the problem is. A lot of parents are taking kids to doctors and assessments on the school's recommendation. And immediately that provokes anxiety, because the parents are not being told what do they do as a parent in that situation. So they're unsure, what do I do if my kid's not well or it's got ADD or whatever? But again, a lot of kids complain, a lot of kids have tummy aches at certain times. You've got to look at patterns. If every evening they've got a tummy ache, tummy aches mean you've got to just stay in bed. You can't watch TV. And that way you'll know if your kid's sick. It'll vomit, etc. You can take a temperature. If the temperature doesn't go down, you take the child to the doctor.
I think it's important that if your child is sick, to take them to the doctor when they've got a temperature or when they're very listless or when they go off their food. And I think those are the 3 warning signs that you can then tell if your child really is sick. If they've got a little sniffle, they're probably going to get over it and you really don't need to take them to the doctor. Often children pick up the paranoia from their parents and they become hypervigilant about all sorts of things. And in fact, they've shown that these kinds of children don't experiment with life. And that's what you need to do in order to learn. You need to be experimenting. And it's very bad for the child's learning perceptions.
I'd say the one thing I'm paranoid about is the safety. You take your child or you send your child to school, and that period when he's not there with you or that you have oversight of him, there's always this concern because of the level of crime, the level of child abuse in this country, and the lack of confidence that I have currently in the way it is actually being handled by the government.
Well, the one thing I am paranoid about is the safety of my child. Because, I mean, at this age, they're so frisky, you know, they're always running around, so you want to have your eye on them all the time. And I think that's the main issue. I mean, I live down the road, but I still have someone picking him up and taking him home. So I think that's a big concern for me.
My child going missing, that is a great concern. Or my child being mistreated by people.
For me, it would be their safety and their health, you know. Make sure that they're okay, that they're safe, and that they're healthy.
One thing that worries me about them is when they play and then they, you know, they're not careful and then they just can get hurt because you can't watch them all the time. So, you know, they tend to fall on their own and then they can get bruised and that type of thing. That's the most biggest thing for me.
Well, the one thing I'm paranoid about is the levels of crime in South Africa. I worry about kidnapping, I worry about house robberies, everything. So if that could change, I'll be a happy mummy.
To be a winner on Mamas and Papas, all you have to do, follow the instructions on the bottom of your screen. Special needs children requires constant physical and emotional attention, which often compromises other family relationships between parents and siblings. So today we ask how to achieve the balance both emotionally and physically without neglecting the needs of anyone in the family.
I think every parent goes through different emotions. For us as parents, after Gabriel was diagnosed with brain damage, we went through stages of mourning. So you need to mourn the loss of the child you thought you were having. And you go through, there's different stages, there's anger, there's grief, there's blame. There's a lot of emotions that come in. I think everybody handles it differently. Eventually, like any mourning process, you will come out, you know, and to see what you actually do have and the blessing that you have got in front of you, which is obviously is your child. So with every mourning process, you get to a stage where your mourning process is over and you can deal with the situation that you have and accept the situation that you're in with your child and just look forward and see what you need to do to go forward.
Welcome to the special parents of children with special needs. And welcome to the special dad who is living with disability. Welcome, Papi.
Thank you, Noah.
What happened to you?
I was disabled. I was hit with an axe about in 1999, and thereby resulting in my disability.
Oh, that's quite sad. And you the dad now?
Yeah.
You continued with your studies?
Yeah.
Tell me, how involved are you in the communities?
I'm highly involved. I'm the deputy chairperson of the DPSA, the Disabled People South Africa. It's a human rights organization that represents the interests of persons with disabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm also involved in quite a number of things. I did my master's through Wits University.
Wonderful.
I worked there previously for 5 years. Then I resigned. I am on my own now. I do everything and everything.
Do you see yourself as a disabled person or person living with disability? How do you associate yourself with your peer, with the general community?
We don't see ourselves as people living with disabilities. We are people with disabilities.
Yes.
Though I don't say that I'm not disabled. I am disabled, and actually it's a matter of fact. But then I believe that I can participate in society in whatever way that I wish, only if we do away with the stereotypes.
Yes.
That people with disabilities are third degree as citizens in this country. We all have rights. This country came to what it is because of human rights.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I see myself as a human being, just like anyone else. You be female or you be homosexual or black or anything whatsoever, really.
Yeah. So do you have family? You've got a child now, and you're happy?
Yes, indeed. I have a daughter.
How old is she?
She's 2.5.
Yes.
I have a wife. Yes.
Wonderful. That's great. Maybe let's actually converse with the parents here who are coming with different packages. You know, your children are all packaged differently. They are special with special needs, but they are different. How different is your child, Annabelle?
Well, my child has multiple challenges. Firstly, she was born with cranial stenosis, which was a blow. And then secondly, about 15 months after that, she was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia, which is a condition that actually has no cure. It can be managed, but it comes with a whole host of complications. And those are the challenges that we've had to learn as a family to deal with, the emotions, the physical trauma, everything. So in a nutshell, that's what Vanessa is today.
And TJ?
Okay, TJ, I like to call him differently able, purely because TJ was born without his right hand.
Yes.
Everybody makes an assumption that he's in pain or he had an accident. I even had somebody asking me if we were from Rwanda, because then maybe his hand was cut off or something. So you deal with all sorts of questions. But he's completely able to cope.
Yeah.
He is 4 now, and he is in normal school. He does normal things any child does. He rides his bike. He has not let it stand in his way, because I think as parents it's important we don't let it stand in the way.
Yes.
We guide how our children feel and think, and we need to teach them to be proud of who they are.
Yes.